Hello everyone, welcome to Back Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. In this video, I'll be teaching us how to make this beautiful blouse. This is a blouse with asymmetric hem. This is what I mean by asymmetric. Can you see that one side of the blouse is higher than the other side, which is the right side is higher than the left side. And you see how beautiful and well structured this blouse is. In this video, I'll also be teaching us how to create this beautiful structure we see here on the blouse. And here, this blouse, it has a yoke at the front and back. And you see, I had to pin the back because my mannequin is quite smaller than the client I'm making this for. So in this video, I'll be showing us in details how to make this beautiful blouse. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. If this is it, please make sure to keep on watching till the end. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, click on the subscribe button to subscribe. And ensure you put on your notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. These are the materials I'll be using for this project. This is a lace fabric. So this is the main fabric. I'll be using this tool net that will be for the yoke, for both the front and back yoke. And then here is my doll face satin that I'll be using for the lining. For both the first lining, we'll be using to laminate the lace and the second lining. So I'll be making use of my doll face bridal satin. So the first thing I'm going to do is to fold my fabric to start drafting the front. And to do that, I'm going to use the biggest circumference I'm working with, which is the hip measurement. So I'll divide the hip by 4 and then add 4 inches to that measurement. So that will be the amount of fabric I will fold. So I'll go ahead and fold it right now. So here I've cut out the fabric I'll be using and it is on fold. You can see it is on fold. And I've gone ahead to draw my vertical lines. This is the shoulder line, this is the chest line, this is the bust line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the full length of the top. So let's label this CL, bust line, under bust, waist, and then hip line, which is the full length of the top. So having done that, this folded part is my center front, the part facing me. So here from the center front line now, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. Now mark here on 8.5. And then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slant. And this is the front shoulder slant. And then here on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark a neck width of 3.5 inches. I'm going to connect the shoulder slant to this neck width measurement. So I'll connect to this slanted line. So here on the chest line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch as well. So I'll mark on 8.5 also. And then I'm going to connect using a straight line to the shoulder. That's to the shoulder slant here. So this is going to be our front armhole. So next I'm going to get the midpoint of this measurement. I'll just place my tape from the slant to the chest line. And here is the midpoint. Folded my tape into 2. So here is the midpoint. So at this midpoint here, I'll come in by 3/4 of an inch. And then I'll connect it to the shoulder tip. So still on the chest line, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4. And that is 10.5. And then I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect to this point. So now this is the front armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to enter the nipple to nipple measurement. And the nipple to nipple I'm working with is 8 inches. So you divide by 2 and that will give us 4 inches. So 4, I'm going to add half inch for sewing allowance for stitching the center and the side together. So I'm going to be marking on 4.5. So I'll mark 4.5 here on the bust line. I'll mark it also on the under bust line. I'll also mark it on the waistline as well as the hip line. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect the points. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the bust measurement divided by 4 here on the bust line. And that's 10.5. So now it's time for us to tighten the underbust. And to tighten the underbust and the waist, I will need the difference between the bust and the underbust. And here I'm working with an underbust of 35 inches. So 35 divided by 4, that will give us 8.75. So we'll keep our 8.75 aside, and then we're going to divide the bust measurement by 4 as well, and that's 10.5. So I'm going to subtract the 8.5 we got, which is the underbust divided by 4, from this 10.5 inches. So minus 8.75, and that will give us 1.75, which is 1 3/4. So I'll be using that 1 3/4 to tighten the under bust. So here I have 1 3/4. So I'm going to use half inch on this side, which is 0.5. Here is our center and this is the side. So I'll mark half inch on this side, and then I'll mark half inch too on the waistline. So on this side, I'm going to mark the remaining 1 1/4 inch. So here I'm going to also mark 1 1/4. I'm just going to use my straight ruler to connect the 2 points together. And then I'll take it all the way down. Same thing for this side. So this is what we have. So now I'll bring in my armhole curve. I want to connect to the bust point. And from this bust point, I will come down by half inch. I'll come down by half inch. And then above the bust point, I'll go up by half inch. As from the bust point, I went up by half inch as well. I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect. You want to connect this half inch mark I have here to this point. So you want to place your curve till the 2 points and till your curve is touching the 2 points. So I'm just going to connect it like this. And then I will also do the same thing for this side. You want to make sure that the 2 points are touching. So this is it. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to get the midpoint of the armhole, which is already this point. You can see that this is the midpoint. So this is it. So I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect to this point, placing my curve from this half inch mark I went up by here. Okay, so we'll leave this at this point. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the neck depth. I already have the neck width of 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. I'll be using a neck depth of same 3.5 inches. Then I'll curve it like this. And you see, so this is what we have. So now we want to create our yoke. But before we create our yoke, I'm going to draw the shoulder dart line because we're going to be tightening our yoke. So here, I'll get the midpoint from the neck width here to the tip of the shoulder. In total, I have 5.5 inches. So the midpoint is going to be 2.75, which is 2 3/4. I'll mark the midpoint here. And then I'll bring in my straight ruler and connect from this midpoint to the bust point like this. You see? So this is what we have. So next I'm going to draw the yoke. I already have a neck depth of 3.5 inches. So from this neck depth, I'll be coming down by extra 4 inches. So which means in total, the depth of the yoke is 7.5. So here at the side of the armhole here, I'll come down by 5.5 inches. And then I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect from this point to this point. So this part is going to be my yoke. So we can just label this Y. Okay. So next, we're now going to enter all our measurements and replace all our darts. So first, we'll be starting with the bust measurement. And here I already have the bust measurement divided by 4, and that is 10.5. I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. I also need half inch for joining the two pieces, the center and the side. So that's half inch on both sides. That's 1 inch. So I'll enter extra 1 inch. Then here on the underbust line, the underbust divided by 4 is 8 3/4. So I'll mark 8 3/4. And then I'll take note of what I have here. That intake is 1.7. So I replace my dart intake of 1.75, and then I'll add my sewing allowance and both the joining allowance of 3 inches. So the waist measurement we are working with is 36 inches. So 36 divided by 4, that's 9 inches. My dart intake of 1.75, I'll replace it as well. And then here I'll add my 3 inches. So the hip measurement I'm working with is 50. 50 divided by 4, that's 12.5. And then I'm going to replace 3 inches back, that's which is my sewing allowance. I'll add 3 inches, which is my sewing allowance and the joining allowance. You can see we do not have I didn't take any dart on the hip line, so that's why I didn't replace anything there. Okay, so now here we'll come to this part, because we're going to cut out this part. Can you see? This is going to be our yoke. So we're going to be cutting out this. We're tightening the overbust. So here I'm going to measure what we have here. Everything I have here is about 1.5 inches. We're going to be coming out by that 1.5 inches. This is because by the time we cut out this dart, remember we're going to join the yoke to it. So let's measure what the yoke is here. Can you see? I have 8.5 here. So by the time we cut out this dart, I'm going to have here on this side, I have 5 inches here. And then on this side, I just have 1.5. So that's a total of 6.5. So you can see that there's going to be a shortage here. So I'm going to replace back my dart. Whatever it is I have here, I'll add it back here. So let's measure. I already said I have 1.5. So from this curve of the armhole, I'm going to go out by 1.5. Can you see? So this is it, 1.5. So I'm going to use my armhole curve to connect to that 1.5. So now the next thing I'm going to do here on the chest line, I'm going to enter my measurements. That's the sewing allowances like I did for the other parts. And I added 3 inches in total. So on the chest line here, I'll do the same thing. So this is my 3 inches. So meaning that now the new armhole is this. I'll be maintaining the old armhole for the yoke, but for the bustier side, I'll be using this as the new armhole. So here, just going to place my armhole curve and then connect the points like this. Because if you don't replace it back, you're going to have a big shortage. So this is it. So let's go ahead and connect all the points. Go ahead and cut out our yoke. So we'll be starting with the yoke first. So we'll start with the shoulder slant. So now I'll go ahead and cut. I'll be cutting on the new armhole now. So you can see I'm taking off this. This was how it was. You see? Okay, so you can see this was how it was. I've taken off this and I've also taken off my dart. So let's bring in the yoke so that we can understand why we replaced back that measurement. Can you see? Can you see that if we had not replaced back that measurement, the yoke is not going to get to this end. So this is what we have here. You see? So you want to make sure to do that. If you don't replace it back, there's going to be a shortage. So now we're going to place our fabric to cut out the back piece, and then I'll transfer to the lace fabric. So I folded my fabric to also draft the back. And here, this folded part is my center back. So this part that is facing the other side is the center back. So this is the shoulder line, the chest line, the waistline, the top length. So now the back length of the top is 25.5, while the front is 27 inches, which is a difference of 1.5 inches. And this resulted from the difference between the front, that's the bust, the difference between the front and the back half length, which is 1.5 inches. I hope you understand that. If you have been watching my videos, you will know that our front half length and our back half length are not the same. So this automatically made the back half length 15.5 inches, while the front half length is 17 inches. Okay, so with that being said, this line I have here is the zip allowance line. So this line is going to be the center back line. So here I have my zip allowance. So this 1.5 inches I have here is for our zip allowance. So here is going to be the center back line where all our measurements will start from. Okay, so here on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch. And then I'll come down by 1 inch for the back shoulder slant. For the front, we use 1.5. For the back, I'm using 1 inch. I'm going to mark the neck width, which is also 3.5 inches. And then I'll use my straight ruler to connect it like this. So here on the chest line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. Then I will connect also like this. So next I'll get the midpoint of this measurement I have here. So I'll just place my tape and get the midpoint. And then I'll go in by half of an inch. And then on the chest line, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5. I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect the points. So this is it. So on the waistline here, on the waistline, which is a half length, I'm going to enter the waist measurement divided by 4, which is 8 3/4. And then I'll add my sewing allowance of 2 inches, then plus my dart intake of 1 inch. So on the chest line here, I'm going to add my sewing allowance. I've not added it, so I'll add 2 inches here also. So here on the hip line, the hip measurement divided by 4, I'll mark it here, and then plus 2 inches. And I'll connect the points like this. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the neck depth. I'll be using a neck depth of 1 inch for the back. I'll also use my armhole curve to connect it to the neck width. So here, I'm going to have a yoke at the back of this outfit, like I earlier said. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 8 inches. So this is where our yoke will stop. So let's mark it like this. So next, I'm going to tighten the back before we go ahead and draw our dart. So to tighten the back, to eliminate any form of zipper bulge, I'm going to come in by half inch from the zip allowance. And then I'm going to slant the line to meet this line I marked for the yoke. And then I'll also connect it down, just slightly above the hip line. Can you see? So this is for our back tightening. So next I'm going to draw my dart. So from the center back here, which is this line, I'll come in by the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. So I'll mark exactly 4 inches here. I'll do the same thing here on the chest line. And I'll also do the same thing here on the hip line. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect the points. So having done that, from the chest line, I'll come down by half inch. And then from the hip line, I'll go up by 2 inches. So remember, I added 1 inch for dart intake. So I'm going to mark half inch on this side, half inch on this other side. So which gives us a total of 1 inch. So I'm going to connect it like this. And then I'll connect like this. I'll also connect it to this half inch mark I came down here. So this is going to be our back dart. So this is our back yoke, okay? So this is it. So our dart is stopping here. So right now we're done with drafting the back. The only thing we're going to do is that this back, the yoke, is not going to have this zip allowance. So I'll be cutting it out because I'm going to have buttons around this side. So we don't need the zip allowance on the yoke. The zip allowance is going to be stopping on this line here. So we'll go ahead and cut out our pieces. So can you see? I'm cutting out the zip allowance because we don't need it for the back yoke. So here is the armhole. Our back looks like, you can see. So we don't have our zip allowance on it. So now I'll bring in the front piece so that we can take care of the difference between the front and the back. So here is our front piece, or our front pieces. Can you see? So this is where our armhole is. So you can see the difference, which is that 1.5 inches. So I'm going to place them like this. Can you see? I'll mark that 1.5 inches at the hem of our top here. And then I'm going to use my curved ruler to connect it. You see? So I'll cut out this difference that we have here. You see that now when you place them together, they are now equal. So the front will have that nice balance and the back also sits well. Okay, so I'm going to place this on my lace fabric and cut out all my pieces and cut out the second linings also. And then for the yoke, I'll place this on my tool on the skin tone net. I'll cut it out also. And for the front yoke, I'll cut it out also. I'll show us the next thing to do. Okay, we're done with the cutting part of this video. My next video is going to be the sewing part. So this is in order not to make the video unnecessarily long. So we're going to be stopping here. My next video is going to be the sewing part. So if you have enjoyed this video and you have found value in this video, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also ensure to put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you, and see you in my next video. Bye.